If you're living in the US with a Nigerian passport, whether you're a student, a nurse, in tech, or running your own business, this isn't just another headline. This is your wake-up call, because right now, the US government has quietly started tightening its grip, and Nigerians are being targeted. Yes, hunting. In cities like Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, and New York, ICE officers are showing up unannounced. At apartments, workplaces, even schools, and Nigerians are in the crosshairs. Videos are starting to go viral, young students being cuffed, nurses dragged straight out of hospitals, fathers pulled from their families like fugitives, all for something as simple as an expired visa or a pending immigration form. This isn't routine immigration enforcement anymore. It's a crackdown, and it's getting louder. This isn't a rumor, it's a purge, and it's already in motion. Thousands more are reportedly on a list. Quiet deportation flights are being arranged. And yet, no headlines, no press conferences, just silence. So what's really going on behind the scenes? Why has the US suddenly started targeting Nigerians so aggressively? Why isn't any major news outlet covering this? Who gave the order? And who's next? Let's break it down. It started quietly. In early January 2025, something changed across cities in the US. But there were no sirens, no flashing lights, no dramatic raids like we've seen before. This time it was different. It was calculated, precise, almost invisible. ICE officers began targeting Nigerian nationals, not in loud, chaotic sweeps, but one by one, apartment by apartment, office by office. It looked routine, almost bureaucratic, but it wasn't. It was a quiet purge, unfolding right under everyone's nose. What made people sit up wasn't just the arrests, it was who got arrested. These weren't fugitives. These weren't criminals. A 33-year-old Nigerian grad student in Texas, deep into her research, was detained for overstaying her student visa by just 4 months. In Maryland, a mother of two, both kids US citizens, was taken in after a basic traffic stop. And then it kept happening, again and again. Nurses, engineers, fathers, teachers, people with jobs, families, and no criminal records, all swept up for the same reason. They were Nigerian, and their visa paperwork wasn't perfect. But this wasn't about missed deadlines anymore. This was something bigger. Because just days into his second term, President Donald Trump quietly signed a new executive memorandum. Restoration of order in immigration processing. It didn't mention Nigerians by name, but it didn't have to. With a stroke of a pen, the policy widened ICE's powers, turning minor visa infractions into fast-track deportation triggers. And Nigerians? They were first on the list. This quiet legal tweak changed everything. It gave immigration officers the power to skip the long court battles and fast-track deportations, especially for people flagged as visa overstays or denied asylum. And guess what? The Department of Homeland Security had already been tracking a large number of Nigerians with unresolved visa issues. Not criminals, not hidden, just people stuck in the slow-moving system. They weren't living in the shadows. They were showing up, filing paperwork, updating their status, doing things by the book. And that's the irony, because being visible, being on record, made them easy to find, easy to target, easy to remove. You see, unlike undocumented migrants who go off the grid, many Nigerians actually play by the rules. They update their addresses, check in when required, apply for extensions. They stay visible, hoping the system will work for them. But that visibility, it became a roadmap for ICE. Now here's the real question. Why Nigerians? This wasn't random. Trump's inner circle knew they couldn't just start mass deportations of everyone. Kicking out thousands of Chinese or Indian nationals would spark diplomatic blowback, economic threats, political retaliation, serious consequences. But Nigeria? That's a different calculation. Now think about this. Nigeria is Africa's largest economy, a major oil exporter, a cultural powerhouse. But when it comes to leverage in Washington, almost none. The Trump administration knew it, and they played it smart. They figured Nigeria wouldn't push back hard, especially if these deportations were dressed up as simple law enforcement. At the same time, right-wing media got to work. Fox News and others started pumping out stories about so-called visa fraud by Nigerians, many with little to no evidence. Even the success stories, the students, the professionals, got twisted. Suddenly, Nigerian excellence was spun as a problem. They're taking all the scholarships, dominating tech jobs. The playbook was clear. Craft a message about restoring order, pick a target with low political cost, and keep the outrage minimal. And Nigerians? They fit the bill. Once Nigerians got flagged in the system, things moved fast. ICE started rolling out what's called notices to appear, NTAs, sometimes after people were already in custody. Imagine that. You're going about your day and boom, you're told you have a removal order you didn't even know existed. People were picked up doing school runs, at hospitals, even during scheduled immigration check-ins. One man went to a visa renewal hearing in Atlanta and never walked back out. He was detained on the spot. Inside the detention centers, things got even worse. Nigerian, us with zero criminal records, were locked up alongside people convicted of serious crimes. Phones, barely accessible, lawyers, almost non-existent, and court hearings, rushed. People were being told to defend their entire life in America, jobs, kids, studies, in a matter of minutes. It wasn't just harsh, it was designed to be overwhelming. A lot of these Nigerians weren't hiding. They were in the middle of legal processes, appealing status changes, waiting on asylum decisions, when suddenly, boom, their cases were closed without warning. And before they could even figure out what happened, flights were already being scheduled. Inside private detention centers, they weren't treated like people. They were treated like case files, numbers. The whole thing became chillingly efficient. ICE coordinated with third-party contractors to arrange charter flights. And from the moment someone was detained to the second they were marched onto a plane, there were barely any explanations, no answers, just movement. These people weren't criminals, but they were cuffed, processed, and moved like inmates. Before we dive back in, quick question: are you enjoying the video so far? If you are, go ahead and hit that like button, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more African news and gists. All right, let's keep going. Back in Nigeria, the arrivals were anything but warm. Most deportees showed up with little to no belongings, just the clothes on their backs. At Lagos's Murtala Muhammad International Airport, security officers quietly escorted them off the planes. A quick fingerprint scan, a customs form, and just like that, they were home. Technically citizens, but feeling like strangers in their own land. The Nigerian government, with Foreign Minister Yusuf Tuggar at the helm, tried to manage the fallout. He publicly said these deportations actually started under the previous U.S. administration and insisted the government welcomes all returning Nigerians. But on the ground, things looked very different. Instead of sympathy, many returnees faced suspicion. In Nigeria, deportation carries a heavy stigma. Families often see it as a mark of failure or punishment, not just a forced return. Some of those sent back had nowhere to stay, no local phone number, and couldn't access their U.S. bank accounts. There were even reports of deportees being mistreated by police who suspected them of having criminal records abroad. Bianca Odumegwu Ojukwu, Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, revealed over 200 Nigerians remain stuck in U.S. immigration detention centers, with 85 already cleared for deportation. She urged the U.S. to treat detainees humanely, but also admitted Nigeria isn't fully prepared to support these returnees once they're back home. Community groups in Nigeria were hit hard, especially in Lagos and Port Harcourt. Civil society organizations scrambled for funds, food, and support to help those deported. Meanwhile, anxiety spread like wildfire among Nigerian families still in the U.S., fearing they could be next. With over 14,000 Nigerian students currently studying in America, parents across West Africa are left asking a chilling question: who's next? What really shook Nigerians wasn't just the harsh treatment of their people abroad. It was the deafening silence from their own government. While videos flooded social media showing ICE officers handcuffing Nigerians at airports, workplaces, and schools, Abuja's official response was, Nothing. Nothing. No statement, no protest, no outrage. Just silence. But this silence, it wasn't an accident. It was a calculated move. Behind closed doors, Nigerian officials quietly signed a repatriation deal with the U.S. The goal? To speed up deportations by fast-tracking paperwork, cutting through diplomatic red tape, and clearing the way for quick return flights. No debates in Parliament, no press conferences, no civil society input, just a quiet handshake bridging two continents. So why did Nigeria agree so easily? Some officials in Abuja saw the deportees not as victims, but as a resource. They figured many returnees having studied or worked in the U.S. could help fill gaps in Nigeria's tech, healthcare, and logistics sectors. But that assumption, it was dangerously naive. What Nigerian officials didn't realize is that these deportees weren't coming home by choice. They were detained, shackled, and treated like cargo by a system that didn't see them as people. Most arrived not with plans or money, but with trauma, confusion, and anger. Their connection to Nigeria had long frayed, and now they were thrown back into a place they barely knew, with no warning, no support, and no safety net. So that's silence from the government. It's more than just diplomatic cowardice. It's a strategic failure. And what happens next? When these deportees step off the plane in Lagos or Abuja, they walk into a void. No re-entry programs, no orientation, no counselors to help them heal. They're fingerprinted, questioned, and then left to figure out the rest on their own. For some deportees, they're lucky if distant relatives still take them in, but for many others, the reality is much harsher. In places like Mushin in Lagos, Sabongari in Kano, or even near the airport, groups of returnees end up sleeping under bridges, crammed into cheap hostels, or bouncing between overcrowded shelters run by NGOs barely able to keep up. The stigma they face is brutal. In a lot of communities, deportation isn't seen as a consequence of immigration rules. It's seen as failure, shame, or even criminal behavior. Some families turn their backs, others whisper behind their backs, and suddenly these returnees feel completely isolated and rejected. And that emotional pain soon turns into economic struggle. Without recognized job histories, no official proof of their U.S. skills, and zero money, many slide straight into poverty. Some get caught up in petty crimes, phone theft, online scams, hustling on the streets. Others chase a desperate dream, paying smugglers to take them on dangerous journeys through Niger, across Libya's deadly deserts, and onto boats heading for Europe. And here's the truth. Deportation doesn't fix migration. It just changes the game. It pushes people underground, forcing them onto even more dangerous, deadly routes. What could have been a chance for a smooth return turns into a never-ending cycle of displacement and desperation. From the outside, these deportations might look like just another immigration headline, another policy change, another number on a report. But they're way more than that. This is a story about erasure, about how the world's most powerful country quietly, methodically, and without a hint of apology, removed thousands of lives. It's a story of how Black immigrants, especially Nigerians, were made disposable, seen not as people, but as data points in a political game. And this is also the story of a homeland that chose silence over sovereignty, letting its own sons and daughters be loaded onto planes without a fight. A government that traded dignity for the sake of quiet diplomacy. Now, the real question isn't just how they were deported, it's what happens next now that they're back home. So what do you think? Why are Nigerians being targeted first, before Mexicans, Guatemalans, or even undocumented Europeans? How did U.S. authorities track down so many Nigerians so fast? Was there a data leak, or maybe something worse, a betrayal? Why do you think the Nigerian government stays so silent while its people are being handcuffed and flown out by the hundreds? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget, history is watching. And if you want more videos like this, stories about African leaders who are breaking the mold and pushing the continent forward, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you don't miss a thing. Thanks for watching. And until next time, stay sharp, stay aware, and stay with us.